Hello there, Flip here, and today we have the details of Chasca's kit. So we're going to be going over and breaking down how it works, and then talk about her initial theory crafting prospects. But before we do that, as always, if at any point during the video you're entertained or informed, make sure to drop a like and even consider subscribing, as I talk on various topics regarding Genshin's meta and I'll try to keep you updated. And with that, let's begin. Alright, so Chasca's a 5-star Anemo bow unit that's going to be another main DPS, adding to the list of the Anemo hypercarries we have. But she does distinguish herself quite a bit from them, not only by being taller, but also by having traits in her that are not only unique to her as an Anemo damage dealer, but to all characters in the game. So let's cover her kit, starting with her basic attacks, which as expected, they do absolutely nothing. She doesn't even get a level 3 bow shot, wow. Now moving on to her skill, Chasca will do an instance of Anemo damage before entering her Night Soul Blessing state, and she will immediately gain 80 Night Soul points. This is going to be similar to how Mualani and Shallonin's Night Soul states act, to where they constantly deplete points, and it's going to act as her duration instead of utilizing it to strengthen her kit like Kinich. And then Wanderer accidentally leaked how the Anemo tribes traverse because Chasca steals his entire flow and just flies. Due to the Natlin fuel thingy, she should be able to fly for longer, so exploration power creep, we love to see it. In her Night Soul Blessing state, Chasca's normal and charge attacks are converted into a rifle that has 2 variants, based on whether you tap or hold it. The tap variant just deals 1 instance of Anemo damage that counts as normal attack damage, where if you hold it, she enters an aiming mode similar to a bow charge attack, and you really only want to use the hold variant for 2 reasons. The first being that similar to a bow, it has winding up time to where Chasca has 6 bullets, and you want to wait until you get all 6 bullets to fire, and aiming allows you to select targets. So just based off this wording, it seems that you might lose damage in AoE, as instead of 6 bullets hitting 1 target, it will disperse and hit multiple targets. At least that's my interpretation. This could lead her to be more single target oriented, we'll see. That would at least distinguish her further from both Xiao and Wanderer. For more details on her skill, assuming you fully charge all 6 of her bullets, the first 3 she fires will be Anemo, and then the rest of the 3 will be the elements of your team. So if you play a team like Bennett, Fish, or Furina, you'll fire 3 Anemo bullets followed by a Pyro, Electro, and Hydra bullet. What decides the order the elemental bullets are fired, we have no idea yet. And like with Shallonin, I'm assuming multiple elements of the same type are going to stack, so even on a mono Pyro team, you'll just fire 3 Anemo bullets, and then 3 Pyro bullets. However, you'll be able to get a 4th elemental bullet through her Ascension 1, where depending on the amount of PHEC characters you have on your team, you have a chance to replace another one of your Anemo bullets with an elemental one. So you'll fire 2 Anemo bullets and 4 elemental bullets on a team with 3 PHEC characters. Again, what determines the element of the 4th bullet, we have no idea. Now for her elemental burst, she will fire off an AoE Anemo attack that then turns into 6 tracking bolts. And like with your elemental skill, depending on your party members, you'll convert these bolts into the elemental damage types that match your team. This time each party member will convert 2 of these bolts, so going back to the example, if you play a team like Bennett, Fish, or Furina, you will have 2 Pyro, 2 Electra, and 2 Hydra bolts. And lastly, for her Ascension 4, when another party member triggers a Night Soul burst, Chasca will fire a bullet that can be converted to one of your team's elements. It will do 150% of the damage her chasing bolt does, and this is considered as charge attack damage. Now, with all of this out of the way, I'm sure you guys are all thinking one thing. Why the fuck does she convert her Anemo attacks to elemental ones? This is actually interesting, as most of her kit doesn't deal Anemo damage, and what her scalings have confirmed is that her elemental bullets from her skill or burst just scale higher at a base, so you really want to run her in a 3 PHEC team, as it just results in you hitting way harder. And since most of her damage isn't from Anemo, you're going to want to use her with an attack percent goblet, especially with all the randomness in what her damage type could be. So Chasca's gameplay loop will somewhat go use her skill to enter a Night Soul Blessing state, charge up her 6 bullets in her aimed mode. She will then fire off 2 Anemo bullets followed by 4 infused ones, and keep repeating this charge attack until her skill ends, then use her burst. She is trying to be the avatar so bad, focusing on doing multi-elemental damage depending on your team. This also means that despite being an Anemo DPS, she doesn't really work well with Farzan, as so little of her damage profile is going to be Anemo, so there's no point in buffing it. Before talking about all her issues, you know what, let's just get the issues out of the way. One of the problems with Chasca is that it doesn't seem like you have a consistent way to control the reactions she does. So if you were to play a team that focused around Melt or Vape, even though theoretically she may be able to be her own application, this is not really how it would turn out in practice, due to the fact that she doesn't do normal attacks, so she has to use characters like Furina and Shangling for extra application, in which you don't really have a way to control the amount of application they do. On top of not knowing what her bullet priority is, so you can just get really unlucky, and get like 3 Pyro bullets in a row followed by a Hydra one, in which you only cause 1 reaction. I don't know if I'm dumb, I just can't think of a team where she can be a consistent amplifying reaction trigger with the characters we have now. Also, expanding on that, she can't really utilize buffers outside of PHEC characters like Shalonen or Kazuha, because again it causes her to do more Onoma damage which they can't buff and less elemental damage, and the buffs they provide just don't make up for it. And the last problem for now is just lack of teammates, as with all Natlan characters. She doesn't really work with any of the current Natlan cast, and there's also no way for her to get buffed by the scroll set, because for you to activate it you need a character to react with your element or be the trigger, in which she's an Onoma character, so the only way for her to get the full scroll buff is if a future Onoma Natlan character comes out, but it's very unlikely that they'll be good for her anyways due to the issues I already listed in losing a PHEC character. Regardless, she still has current teams of course. For starters, she's an attack scaling character, so that means Bennett is a given, and Fiorina is able to give a common damage buff while being a Hydra unit, so there are your first two teammates. And from there you can run off-field DPS like Shangling, Fischl, Kaya, Rosaria. But yes, I think our best teams currently are going to be the Bennett Fiorina team core, followed by Shangling or Fischl. Another thing I haven't mentioned yet that someone brought up to me is that Chasca can actually be a very good scroll user. Because of the way it works, when she triggers the set, she will gain all the damage bonuses which she can universally benefit from. And on top of this, her best teammates are going to be strong off-field damage dealers anyway, since she doesn't have access to that many buffers. So the scroll set just allows her to enable these teams, essentially being a driver or enabler, while still having a strong damage profile. Someone like Hazo had to choose between his personal damage or debuffing for his teams, but Chasca is able to just do both quite effectively. But there is a massive problem with the set. The current best off-field damage dealers for her team snapshot, so you're going to have a bricked first rotation, but everything after that should be fine. A theory crafter called Vomfee, who has a Twitch, please go check him out and show him some love for helping with this video, shared some calculations with me regarding Chasca's team's damage potential, with the assumption she can fire 3 charge attacks, along with some other miscellaneous things. And even though it obviously can't be 100% accurate yet, due to some details that may alter things, it should pretty much be in that ballpark give or take of how well her performance is shaping up to be, which is currently on the stronger side. If Shangling could snapshot the scroll buff, which she'll be able to do in the second rotation onward, then it just becomes Chasca's best set. Or if, as I said before, we get off-fielders that just don't snapshot that also do damage, please Mavwika save the off-field Pyro Society. Chasca's burst also hits like a truck, and with scroll and getting Night Soul burst procs, this would allow her to burst every rotation more consistently, without her needing to build upwards of 150% energy, which would impact her damage output. Besides a team like this, she doesn't have many other use cases that I think would be worth using. Maybe there's some Ola run stuff you can cook up, but we need more info in his kit to make that judgment, which we just don't have yet. To close out my initial impressions of her Bennett and Fiorina teams do look very strong, even without her being fully synergistic yet. But if that's her only strong team, then there are so many other ways to use the Bennett Fiorina core. So despite her strength in these teams, it's not anything groundbreaking really. I hate saying this because it's something that's been said for every Natlan damage dealer, but we really are just waiting on future Natlan characters to improve her team flexibility. There are also some other things in her kit I feel like people are going to be disappointed by due to how other characters have been received. She is essentially just another bow charge attack DPS, you know, one of the most popular playstyles. Though at least compared to someone like Ganyu, you get to mark enemies so you don't have to be too precise, and she does have increased interruption resistance in her Night Soul Blessing state, but if it's anything like the others then it isn't a lot. Better than nothing though, I guess. She also seems to be very single target oriented, considering she only has 6 bullets that track enemies, meaning you're going to be doing the same damage in AoE as you would in single target, with no room to hit more targets. And the same applies to her burst. Hopefully, like with Mualani, there's something that alleviates this, but it doesn't seem like there is yet in version 1. Citlali, I know I butchered that. Citlali and Mavwika are both in 5.3, and we know that Citlali is most likely going to be a shielder according to some very reliable data miners, and that Mavwika is going to apply some form of off-field pyro. So considering the bullshit Hoyoverse pulled with Kinich and Emily basically releasing back-to-back, likewise with Nuvola and Risley having Fiorina in the next patch, it is extremely likely that Citlali and Mavwika may be her best teammates and give her more flexibility, but as of now she doesn't really have that going for her, it seems like. But with that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on Chasca, as I'd love to hear it and I respond to almost every single comment. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.